Father's Day music. It's like going to a rave without the glow sticks.
Welcome to Rubber City Throwdown, the official voices of Honor Fighting Championship.
Fuck yeah!
Honor Fighting Championship 5 coming up fast, June 30th. So make sure you guys get your tickets. This is going to be a huge event. All amateur card at the Chaparrals Event Center, located at 2418 South Arlington Road in Akron, Ohio. And make sure you visit the website at honorfightingchampionship.com. And if you cannot get your tickets from your favorite fighter in person, make sure you head on over to www.fightertix.com. You can purchase your tickets there online, and you can even select your favorite fighter and purchase it for them, so they will help. You will help them and support your local fighter, man. What's going on, man? Happy Father's Day. Good old Father's Day today, huh?
Yeah, if I wasn't a fighter, Gandalf the Grey.
What's that?
I would call you Gandalf the Grey.
Why?
Because your hood and everything.
I don't even have a beard anymore.
No. Yeah, I saw that picture too. Yeah. Let's see, guys. Beard or no beard? Well, too late now. Keep it. Just do half sections.
That was the joke.
Just left and right of the screen. No, happy Father's Day, man. I'm not a father, but one day I will be.
To all the fathers out there.
Yeah, definitely. No, we've been talking about this fight card for a while now, and you know, like you said, we there's really not much to keep going with, but we did find out that there's going to be a fight with Mike Ado.
Well, yeah, Mike Ado was originally supposed to fight William Ferguson, and yeah, we've been talking about this card coming up for the last few weeks now, and because there was a 2-month gap in between the last event and this event, you're not necessarily strapped for content, but we waited out, and this is what I wanted to add. We had a couple guests on the last couple weeks with Josh Signs and then Jake Digman last week. We got an opportunity to reminisce about the old days of mixed martial arts when it was kind of new, as the infancy stage in Ohio, and what it's kind of became now. And we'll have to finish that conversation with Mr. Digman at a later date, but
right.
There has been some changes to this card. Every fight that I just talked to Scott Corbin today. Every fight's still on. There's just been changes,
right?
And the first and foremost, Michael Ado, who was originally supposed to fight William Ferguson. Ferguson got injured, and Kyle Booth has stepped up to take his place. Kyle Booth, who is 6'6", 5'10", 170 pounds. He's got the experience. He's 12 fights in. Michael's 6 fights in. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting fight. Do you think Kyle Booth is going to bring a different type of aspect of his experience in comparison to what Mike Ado would do? I honestly don't know. Kyle Booth is coming off of a loss. He recently fought December, so he's 6 months out. He's coming off of a loss, but he was riding a 3-fight winning streak. All 3 fights were the submission victories.
Okay.
So I want to say that, like, he's gonna bring a ground game. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's comfortable on the ground. He's at least he's comfortable on the ground.
I don't know. We've also seen Michael Ado do the same shit, though.
And that's what I was getting to. Michael Ado seems like he's very comfortable on the ground. He actually took Ben Meese to the ground.
Yeah.
And ultimately finishing him a guillotine choke in the first round. But looking at Kyle Booth's history, I mean, we're talking 12 fights. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the 12 fights, win or loss, has ended in submission for this fighter. Okay.
So he goes straight to the ground then.
Well, not knowing exactly how, I haven't seen Kyle fight, right. So not knowing, not seeing it in person, and not knowing how he trains, I don't know how. Like yeah, on paper, this fight's gonna end on the ground, or it's gonna at least end up on the ground at some point in time, But yeah, I mean,
How many of them went all 3 rounds?
1, 2, 3. Only 3 of them has gone to a decision. His last one against Isaiah William, he had lost the decision. So, but the 3, like I said, the 3 fights that he was riding a 3-fight win streak against Desmond Ford, Tregwells, and Jake Keller were all triangle choke, rear naked, and armbar. So three submission victories, all different types of submissions. And those were like round 2s and round 3s. So it's not like he's just murking people round 1 submissions. But prior to that 3-fight winning streak, he was on a 2-fight losing streak, both by decision. So right now he's already, the 3 decisions have already been losses.
Right.
And he has lost by submission due to strikes twice.
Okay.
So, but it's safe to say on paper, this fight is looking like it's going to go to the ground.
Okay.
And we've covered Michael Ado several times. And I mean, that's just his type of game.
Yeah.
You know, he's comfortable on the ground. He's explosive.
He's very freaking.
Yeah, Michael's very explosive. He's a very explosive fighter, and this is going to be a very interesting fight. And all I know is Kyle needs to bring his A game. He does not need to take this fight lightly. Kyle needs to bring his A game.
Right.
He needs to make sure that his cardio is in check. He is ready to go, and he brings something special. His ground game. His ground game needs to be better than Michael's. Right. And he needs to weather the storm in the first round. Like I said, Michael's a very explosive fighter. He's going to be in his face. It's probably going to be a very fast-paced fight for at least the first round. So Kyle needs to weather that storm and make sure he doesn't get taken down and just ground and pounded.
Right.
You know, he needs to make sure his neck isn't exposed.
Yeah, because we know that Mike, he will snap that explosiveness right into a freaking submission quick.
Well, I mean, Ado's last fight against Ben Mees, Ado immediately went for the takedown. He didn't even want to strike with Ben. He just went right for the takedown, put him up against the cage, got him to the ground, landed some ground and pound. And then when Ben Mees went to go for the stand, Michael sunk in the guillotine choke and ultimately won the fight in the first round via submission. So this is going to be a very difficult fight for Kyle, in my opinion.
Right. And there's
I'm
no
not saying
favoritism.
I'm not saying Kyle's gonna lose.
Right.
I'm just saying that in order for Kyle to win this fight,
he needs to start checking into his game.
To be honest, you want my honest opinion, and that's all it is just an opinion. But Kyle has to bring his A game against a very hungry, undefeated Michael Ado.
And this is nothing to be taken lightly, like you said. This is a title fight, man. This is going to go and add to a record that Michael's already got won from a different organization. And you're right, he's very hungry. So if this guy wants to come in there and take that away from him, he's got to do something harsh.
Exactly. And that's actually been officially, as of right now, this is the main event of this card.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it is the main event.
So then the co-main event's going to be Fred Davis and Jamal McClain.
Exactly, yeah. And then that's another title fight at 170. Or sorry, 185. It's the middleweight.
That was going to go up.
Yeah, it's the middleweight. And then that's with Fred Davis and Jamal McClain. Jamal McClain, again, another undefeated fighter. He's going up against Fred Davis, who's 5-4, who's coming off of a victory himself.
Yes.
So both fighters are hungry. Fred Davis, this is his dream. This is it. He's 42 years old. He's ready to go. This is it, man. Like,
all he wants is that title.
That's all it is. This is like,
he's been fighting in the Masters division for so long, and then this is what he's been wanting for so long.
Now, I'm not saying that like this is going to be the last and only opportunity that he may get, but I mean, at his age, with what he's trying to do in the sport, this may be the only time that he gets this opportunity to fight for a title, and that's why he jumped on it. Right. And fighting a guy like McClain is a very talented fighter. He's young, he's hungry, he's undefeated. He just came out. I mean, his last fight against Chris Fattig was an absolute fucking war.
Yeah,
and
all 3 rounds.
I mean, Chris Fattig, who is a good fighter, who was undefeated going into that fight, his face looked like he went through the meat grinder. grinder.
Yep.
I mean, both guys displayed, and Chris Fatting and McLean, both guys displayed incredible heart and cardio. And that, I mean, that was one
And we
hell
talked
of a
about
fight.
that in our fight week podcast too. Is that the two of them coming in being undefeated, that somebody's going to have to lose, and that's the reason why they matched it this way.
Right, right. And then, so yeah, Fred Davis needs to he needs to get his cardio in check. He needs to make sure that his cardio is 150% better than it was in his last fight.
Right.
I'm telling you, if his cardio is anything like it was when he fought Roy Nichols,
He's going down.
It's not going to be a very fun night for Fred. Fred's got a ton of heart, but he needs to make sure that his cardio stays in check.
Right.
But like we saw when he fought Matt Matlock,
Right.
all it takes is one overhand right to put you down, and all it takes is that one punch to put him down to connect, and McLean will go night-night. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's just how this sport
And we
works.
already know that Fred Davis has got that hellified freaking right.
He's got the power. He has the power to do it. So not knowing both fighters' game plans, it's going to make it a little difficult.
Now, what's the height difference? Because I know that I'm not picking on him or anything, but I know that Fred Davis isn't all that tall, and I can't remember if Jamal McLean was actually around 6 foot, isn't he?
Yeah, McLean's he's clocking in at 6 foot even, and Fred Davis is sitting at 5'6", so there is definitely a height discrepancy, which means there's a reach discrepancy.
But this isn't something new for Fred though.
No,
This
Fred,
is definitely
when Fred fought Roy
Nichols,
who
which
was coming in at a whopping 5'5", I think. Fred had expressed his
whopping.
Fred had expressed his
love for that.
his gratitude to
Yeah.
fight a guy who was the same height. You know,
Right.
it was different, and me, I'm 5'7", so I
Going
it's
against
the same
heavyweights
thing.
and
Yeah,
everything
It was the
else.
same thing. It was, you never fought a guy that was the same height as you, so it was definitely a good adjustment for Fred Davis in his last fight when he fought Roy. But now coming in, he's bumping up a weight class and he's
Right.
fighting a taller fighter, and McLean.
Which we've already seen McLean's wingspan on that, and that guy's got a hellified reach. So, but moving on.
And then we got Jeffrey Ofick. Oh, fuck. That's how I want to pronounce that dude's name. Oh,
And
fuck.
now entering the cage, Jeffrey. Oh fuck!
That's how I'm going to pronounce his name every single time. He's going up against Joe Safranco. Jeff coming in at 3-2, 5'6", 125. Joe Franco coming in 3-1, 5'9", 135. So I'm not exactly sure if this fight's going to take place at bantamweight or flyweight, but I imagine that I think it's going to go at flyweight.
I think it was supposed to be scheduled for flyweight.
Well, if I were to guess, if I were to give you a logical guess or an intelligent guess, it would be flyweight. You know.
All right, everybody, mark that on your calendars. There's an intelligent guess coming from Norman.
And then
Sorry. I had to do
moving
it.
on to Casey Turnbull versus Lucas Mass. This is another fight that I'm really looking forward to, actually. It's, Lucas coming off of a loss, and then Casey Turnbull coming off of a win against Darnell Trude, who's also on this card. But Casey is undefeated. Both fighters are roughly the same height. You know, Casey's 6 foot
there
with
he is, right
Lucas at 5'10". But like I said, Casey's a very strong 170. You know, he could probably get away with fighting and winning at 185. So he probably walks around closer to like 190, 200, and he's cutting down to 170 for these fights, man. He's a big 170.
Right.
But as you can see, Lucas is also a pretty big dude. You can see him up in the top right-hand corner. That's Casey on the far, and then Lucas right next to him. So both dudes, I know both dudes are big. Both guys they've got the cardio, they've got the muscle, they've got the power. So,
Now, this is our women's division fight, right?
Well, yeah, obviously, the only women on the damn card.
I was making. Well, no, it's not.
Those are ring girls. Those aren't fighters.
I don't know this. We don't know. Maybe
You
there's
should know this.
I do know this. I was just trying to play around a little bit.
But no, that's going to be a very interesting fight. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yes.
It's Casey is really going to need to. He doesn't need to take this fight lightly. Lucas Mass trains with a great group of guys, and he's ready. He's hungry. He's coming off of that loss. He wants this, and Casey doesn't need to take this fight lightly. You know, he needs to. He needs a step. And Casey showcased his striking ability when he fought Darnell. Darnell is not like an easy fight.
No.
At all. I mean, granted, Darnell shouldn't have taken that fight at 170. Darnell needs to be fighting at 155. But Darnell is not like a bad striker. He's a very gifted, very talented fighter, and for Casey to beat Darnell in the way in the method that he did,
right.
Really showcase how good Casey's striking really is. So, but moving on, we got Mitch Dotto. He's going up against Edwin Taylor. Both fighters actually, their records are similar. You know, you got Mitch who's 6-5, and you've got Edwin who's 6-4.
Right.
You know, and
I'm not even going to comment on Mitch Dotto because I'm going to get that stuck in my head, and then I'm going to screw up Mitch Dotto and Michael Ado.
I don't know why you do that.
I don't know.
Edwin
Because it's
Taylor,
the M's.
Edwin Taylor hailing out of Pennsylvania. Not entirely sure who he trains with out of PA. My computer is just having an aneurysm right now.
Yeah. It said, wait, what?
But
Edwin who? Encarnacion?
But Edwin Taylor, he's fought guys like John Gunther, you know, Cameron McIntosh, right? He actually beat Cameron.
Really?
Yeah, he actually beat Cameron in the first round, and I think that was a title fight. That was for big guns. That was for the RFO. He actually beat Cameron first round by TKO.
Wow. That was a while ago.
And but he did lose against a Samuel Lemon at the Bayfront Brawl by submission armbar, and that was also a title fight.
Haven't we covered him before?
Well, Samuel is Samuel's on this card, dude. I actually think Samuel Lemon's actually on this card.
That's why it sounded familiar, because I knew that Lemon sounded familiar. Aneurysm. Death by chocolate.
Sorry, I thought. Yeah, he is. He's fight. No. That's Samuel Karam. Is he? No, maybe Sam.
Maybe that was one of the ones that got.
Well, I just had added Sam, or I think he added me. Sam Lemon had just added me on Facebook, so that's why that name is fresh in my mind, because I literally just saw his name on my feed.
Maybe that's what it was then, if you added the Rubber City Throwdown.
But no. So this is going to be a good fight. Mitch, we just got done. We just covered him, man. He
was ready.
He had Operation Shockwave by March. Yep. He had beaten Tyree Johnson by Scorpion Lock.
Yeah, that was one hell of a fight. Surprising outcome. That's not normally a submission that comes out of.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. And then you've got your boy, you got Tim Hughes out of Picowa.
Stop it.
And he's going up against Griffin Rawls, Eric Posen. And this is going to be a good fight. I'm surprised this fight isn't higher up.
I figured that would have been the co-main event. Or the
granted,
main
this
event.
isn't the tentative bout order either. But so we don't actually know.
It might be the co-main event.
We don't know how, we don't know the order. We don't know the order. This isn't the tentative bout order. We don't know how they're gonna. Scott's gonna place everything, but this is definitely this is one of those fights that you look forward to.
I'll tell you what, they should probably put that right in the center of the card to keep people in the seats.
Well, this would be a fight if it's not higher up in the main events. It's definitely going to be like the main event before the intermission. You know what I'm saying? It's the last amateur fight before that intermission, before they get into like the other, the top four fights basically. But this is going to be an absolute fight fest, no pun intended.
No,
But this is gonna be
it's gonna be hell. Yeah, it's gonna be one of the biggest brawls that I've seen in a long time.
Well, I mean, it's gonna end one of two ways. It's gonna end real quick, or it's gonna go the distance, as that was gonna be, man. But both fighters are ready. Both fighters are hungry, and we've talked and covered Tim enough to know that he's not slouching in the gym.
No.
He's training, and
we can't even get a hold of him. We were lucky last week.
And then Eric, he trains a very notable, reputable camp in Griffin Roll up in Mentor, Ohio. He trains with Jason Dent, or under Jason Dent, who's a UFC veteran, was actually a cast member in the Ultimate Fighter TV series. So yes, this guy's good. He's undefeated.
Yep.
And he likes to stand and bang, man. This is going to be one of them fights, and this is what Tim asked for. Tim asked for a fight like this. He got it.
Gotta have it.
So you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And right now, in Tim Hughes' chapter, Eric Posen is the best.
Right.
He is the next guy that is in front of him. He is the next best guy.
I wish the best for Tim, but I also want to see a really damn good fight. So both of you, go out there, do your fucking thing, and enjoy yourselves. Put on a great show.
And then next we got Tyree Johnson versus James Neff. James Neff has lost a ton of weight, dude. He was down to like
big sexy.
He was down to like 280, 275 or something last time I had actually checked on it. But he is hungry, and I don't mean that literally.
He's probably sitting at home listening to this right now, and he's probably looking at you going, "No, I really
no, I'm really hungry. Trust me, I can't wait." I mean, he's cracking me up. He's put the shit that he puts on social media about how hungry, and I've been there. I have been there. I couldn't wait until my first fight was over. When I cut from 320 to 264 for my first amateur fight, man, I think I went to Golden Corral afterwards. I went right because it's at the Chaparrals, right up the hill down Arlington or up Arlington.
Ate everything in your
path.
path.
Man, it was beautiful. It was glorious, and I was coming off of a win, so it made it even that much sweeter. But
now you can gain in an amateur division. You can gain up to 8 pounds in between weigh-in and fight time, right?
You can gain as much as you want.
Oh, I thought it was only 8.
No.
Or is that for professional?
No, they don't. Professionals weigh in twice. Amateurs don't.
Okay.
You weigh in at 170. You can go gain 40 pounds of water weight if that's what you cut, and ain't no one gonna. They're not re-weighing you. The only time it becomes an issue is if you miss weight. And then you cut weight. For instance, let's say you're supposed to weigh 170. You come in at 173, and the guy goes, "No, you need to lose the weight, and then you can't gain more than 10 pounds for the fight." That if so, and then once that is agreed upon, and the OAC goes, "Okay, that's what we'll do." As an amateur, you'll come back in, you'll weigh in, you'll make weight, and then when you come back for the fighter meeting kind of thing, you'll weigh in again. And if you're 10 pounds heavier, hey, man, that's it. You got to make sure that you don't gain all that back. But most of the time, no, you weigh in once in the morning. You officially weigh in, you go eat, you rehydrate, and they don't weigh you again. Now, on the pro side, yes, they'll weigh you twice. You weigh in the night before, then you weigh in again. And then, yeah, you can't weigh more than a certain amount, I think.
Before fight time.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
I'm just getting my information proper.
But no, this is gonna be a fun fight, I think.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a real fun fight because you got both guys who don't mind wrestling, don't mind going to the ground. James has a tendency to snatch up that kick every time
and go straight to the ground.
He loves snatching the kick up. But James likes stand and bang. Tyree's a wrestler who also likes stand and bang.
Right.
We've seen plenty of both of these guys. We've covered both of these guys many times.
Oh, there he is.
And
I was trying to find him, and
you almost can't. You almost don't recognize him, man.
You almost don't.
Pictures.
You can't not recognize him because look at how pale he is in comparison to everybody else. Look at that guy, man. But you're right. That picture right there. I mean, obviously, all these pictures are recently updated because look at over here at George Pointer. He's looking pretty mean right now too.
Right. We'll get to George. Moving on, we got Tyler Mees versus Jared Patterson. Jared Patterson is a guy that we've covered multiple times for Cage Madness.
Yes.
He's actually fighter of the night at one of the Cage Madnesses we covered last year.
Shine. Yeah.
And, he's a very talented wrestler himself. Very talented wrestler. And, he's going up against a 7-3 Tyler Mees. And you know what gets me is he got Tyler Meese, who's weighing in officially at MMA Underground. We know how accurate their information is, right?
Oh yeah, how many male female fighters there are?
Yeah, exactly. But he was coming in. Tyler Meese coming at 145. Jared Patterson officially weighed in at 195. So it's kind of like there's a pretty big weight discrepancy there. So,
it's all right. It'll be all worked out in the end. We'll get the real information when we see the OAC.
But yeah, we had covered Jared when he fought Sam White. He ended up winning that by triangle choke in the first round, and with 1 second left in the round, that was nuts. And then, but he ended up losing to Yohi Rajas, and I think we went to that fight. We were at that fight.
Rojas.
That was Iron Tiger. He ended up losing the second round. That was a title fight. He ended up losing that one. But
Yohi Rajas.
Rajas. Man, dude, you know me in names, man. You know me in names. I try to pronunciate as much as possible, dude.
The other podcast was great, man. Shut up! I can't even say it now.
Yeah, I try to sound it out. Use my big boy words. But sometimes, man, sometimes it just doesn't happen.
I think the last time you said roaches.
Roaches?
No, roaches.
Roaches? Yeah, probably. I don't know.
But anyways, keep going.
But then we got that. And then our female fight, the Teresa Gunther versus Christina Edwards.
I'm just waiting for the Juan fight.
Like I said, I don't know much about Christina. She's making her debut. But I do know that Teresa, who is currently 1-0, she competes all the time. She is constantly competing in not MMA, but like grappling tournaments. Always, I mean, she'll travel as far as Cincinnati if it means competing on an event. Finding a fight for her is very hard to do. And at least in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, finding fights for female fighters is very scarce. It's slim pickings out there, man. It's hard to get these girls a fight.
Right.
And then when you finally get them a fight, then it's all the risk. They're not getting the blood work done, the medical's done, they're missing weight.
We've seen this a couple times.
And then, or they're not showing up, they're canceling fights, they're getting hurt, then they're getting
cutting hair.
Yeah, she's except not making weight. She had to cut the hair, throwing up in the bathroom. It's insane. Trying to get. So when you actually get a fight,
it's almost like going on the first date with a very cute guy.
Is it? How many cute guys have you gone on
I was talking about for women.
Your first dates with, huh?
Norm, you were the only date that I went on.
But
we will not get into discussion with the details.
Another change
did not work out for us. I'm sorry.
Another change that has been this card is the Brogan Andreas fight, who is now fighting Vince Thompson, who is making his debut. Brogan was originally supposed to be fighting Christian McKenzie, who tragically passed away in a car accident.
We miss you, man.
They did get another fight for Brogan in Vince Thompson, again, who is making his mixed martial arts debut. So we get another newbie coming in. We get to interview. We get to meet. And this is going to shape up. It should shape up to be a pretty decent fight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Brogan fight again and looking forward to seeing him fight on a bigger scale, on a bigger stage.
Right, definitely.
So, but moving on, we've got the big boys in the house, the super heavyweight, and this night wouldn't be complete without, if you didn't have a super heavyweight. And you had James Nev, who was the super, who fought every fight he had at super heavyweight. Now he's dropping to heavyweight. So now we got to get the big boys up there. We got George Pointer. He's going up against Christian Correas Godoy.
I'm not even going to correct you. If
Godoy. Christian's got a hell of an overhand right.
Okay.
I've seen I've watched a couple of his fights. This dude has got a hard right leg kick, and a very deceivingly hard overhand right. And then you've got George Pointer,
who's just overall a powerhouse.
Who is a true super heavyweight right now, and is got a very unorthodox style of fighting. I've sparred with him many a time.
Yeah,
he's got a very deceiving right hand. You know, it's kind of like a super heavyweight that fights like Conor McGregor in a way. You don't see it coming, but he's a very good counter fighter. And when you commit, you need to commit, because if you don't, he's gonna catch you, and he's gonna keep punching you. You know.
And hasn't he also switched to southpaw once or twice?
Well, I think a lot of fighters will do that in the middle of a fight. They'll switch over to south, but he's not a southpaw fighter. He may switch every once in a while, but like I say, he's got a broad stance, open stance.
Right.
So he's not necessarily fighting southpaw, but he's squared up in a way that, you know, allows him to utilize the right hand any way he wants. So whether he wants to throw it out as a jab, a recoil jab, a hook, an overhand right, if he wants to switch back, he's just got a very open stance, which makes it difficult to predict where he's going to throw from. Having a stance that open like that does leave his body open, but I'll tell you what, from experience, I've cracked him, I've laid into his body. You can hit this dude with a baseball bat in his gut 12 times, and it's not going to phase him. It's not going to phase him at all.
He just absorbs that and just takes it back with him.
He just takes it, man. He's a very powerful striker. He's a very powerful fighter, and he's tall. And it's going to be a very interesting fight, because you've got George, who's coming in at like 6'3", 6'4", and you've got Christian coming at 5'8". He's got the height advantage. Christian's fight. I don't know if this is his first fight at super heavyweight, but I mean, you can see here he was listed at 205 at his last fight.
Really?
So he just skipped heavyweight altogether. He just went 205, and I think he's even fought as low as 170. I mean, don't quote me on it. I think that Christian has fought as low as 170, if not 185, but he's just gone up. He's going up. He's going up. So you have to take into consideration, how's Christian's cardio going to be for this fight? You know,
I mean, if he was at 205 on one of his last fights, I would probably say that his cardio is probably up there. But then again, once you start gaining all that weight,
gaining weight is a killer, man. When you start gaining that weight,
you're gonna feel it in your chest.
Yeah,
start heavy and shit.
It weighs on you. Like I said, no pun intended. It weighs on you. That extra weight, especially the extra in the midsection.
Yeah,
it slows you down. So we have we got to see, you know. We got to keep an eye on this fight and make sure whose cardio is better.
Right.
You know, we also know George works a lot. He's got a very physically demanding job as well.
But that means that his cardio is going to be in check.
And like I said,
because I'm telling you, man, I just got back from being out of town. Just got back. And by the way, guys, sleeping in your own bed is the best thing ever in your life. I hate roach hotels. But anyways, no, I just got back from out of town. George, and I've said this before, me and George have a very similar job. We're both in construction. And we're not just out there bullshitting with people, and he's not a foreman or anything like that. He's out there working.
Right.
So, you know, he's out there lifting heavy objects. He's throwing shit. He's doing a job. So his cardio has to be in check, or else he'd be assed out halfway through the day. So that just tells us right there that George is not going to be an easy win.
And we're going to get an opportunity to talk more about this fight in particular, because next week we're actually going to try to get George Pointer and his coach, Brian Clark.
Did you get a bird?
No, it's my dogs. They're whining. We're going to get George Pointer and his coach from Apex Fight Systems, Brian Clark, on here as well.
Also your coach.
To talk MMA. Also my coach. To talk MMA. And we'll get an opportunity to not necessarily talk game plan or strategy, but to see what George has been up to.
Right.
You know, the last couple months.
See where all he's been.
Moving on, though, we got Darnell Truitt and Terry Demore. This is going to be an interesting fight. Terry Demore just went the distance and won. Darnell coming off of a loss we talked about when he fought Casey Turnbull, coming off of a round 2 TKO. So this is going to be a very, I think it's going to be very technical. Both fighters very technical. Darnell's a very technical striker, but then we saw in his Terry's last fight, he's going to take you to the ground. He's going to beat you on the stand-up. He's going to drag the fight out. He's got good cardio. He can go the distance. So I'm really interested to see how this fight's going to go.
Agreed.
And then moving on to Dakota Day and Tim Fry. Tim Fry is a fighter that kind of like an old school fighter. He's a fighting out of Pickle, I think.
Yeah.
Tim Hughes was actually touching up on this guy, saying that he's really excited to see him getting back in here.
Right.
You know, and you know, I'm looking for. I've never seen Tim fight. I've never seen Dakota fight, but Dakota's 4-3. Tim Fry's 4-8.
Right.
Tim is 5'4". Dakota is 5'6". They're fighting at bantamweight.
Yeah, very evenly matched.
Unless they decided to ultimately drop down to flyweight,
Right.
Which we'll find out fight day. But right now they're listed at bantamweight, so it's going to be a fast-paced fight.
Yep.
Both fighters should be in hell of a shape. It's going to be a good fight.
I
I'm
agree.
looking forward to it. Any guy that's fighting out of Piqua with
Tim and everybody else.
And Fightopia,
Yeah.
Anyone fighting out of there, man, I'm looking forward to it. So.
Dude, they've become one of our faves.
And then John McGregor and Dom Johns. Dom Johns, we saw him fight at Cage Thunder back in April. He fought Mike Siebert.
Yes.
And I don't want to take anything away from Dom. I know Mike he wasn't necessarily training properly for that fight, but everybody who knows Dom knows that he's got a hell of a right hand.
Yeah.
He punches very hard, so I'm looking forward to this fight as well. John McGregor coming out 1-1, Dom Johns 3-4. And now we talked a little bit about this a couple weeks ago. John is 6'6", and Dom is 5'7". So this is the height difference in this fight is gonna be nuts.
That guy's going up against an NBA All-Star right there. I'm telling you, man.
This
That's
is
tall.
This is gonna be a very. I'm not. I mean, there's always a height. Okay, there's always gonna be a height discrepancy somewhere.
Yeah, but that's
And the taller person doesn't always win.
No, he
Okay?
won't. But,
But
the thing is that he's almost got a full foot on him.
Yeah. So you have to, John has to make sure that he utilizes his reach effectively.
Isn't our
And
Cage only like 6'5" anyways?
Dom needs to make sure that he goes in there with a good strategy, and he needs to figure out how to get inside of his bubble, get inside John's comfort zone, bring him into his world, because reach don't mean shit when you're 6 inches away, and as long as Dom could do that successfully, get inside of his bubble, get inside his comfort zone, land the body shots, and wear him down, mentally and physically, I think Dom's gonna have a really good night. So, but if John could utilize his reach, kind of like when we saw Braden Liggett versus KO Butler.
Yeah.
Braden kept KO at a distance. He used his reach. He used his boxing. He didn't allow KO to get inside of his comfort zone and press him up against the cage and bring him into his world. It frustrated KO, and KO kept going for the overhand right, the one-punch knockout. So Dom has to make sure that he doesn't get frustrated, and John has to utilize his reach and his boxing to keep Dom at a distance in order to win this fight.
But then again, if Dom has great footwork and is able to confuse him a little bit, he can get right in.
Exactly. If he can figure out how to get in, and try to utilize the inexperience, so to speak. John's only got 2 fights compared to the 7 that Dom has. Use the experience a little bit against him. So, and then moving on, we got Dontrell Person, which we wanted to see him fight at the Summit County Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his opponent never showed up, but we did give Dontrell the time of day.
Right.
We gave him the interview, and we're gonna do the same thing this fight. We're gonna actually get a chance, hopefully, get to see him fight. And he's fighting Juan Minifield. Right. Number one, Minifield.
He's going to be the best.
I can't wait to meet him in person for the interview when we do the pre-fights. I can't wait to meet him in person, man. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a good laugh about this. I really do hope. But Dontrell,
I hope he's been watching. I really do.
But Dontrell coming at 1-0. Minifield coming at 2-1. And
you made sure that you didn't say his name.
we're going to have a good laugh. But finishing up on this awesome fight card so far.
Yes, definitely, dude.
We got Tyler Lapone.
Lapoon.
I didn't want to say Poon, and he's going up against another Fightopia, Piqua, Doug Lewis.
You almost said Pinnacle.
Yeah. Doug Lewis, another guy at Fightopia, who we saw him fight at Operation Shockwave, and that dude's wrestling
was amazing
on a different level,
right?
And he's going up against Tyler, who is making his debut. So ultimately, we don't know much about Tyler. We don't know what style of fighter he is. What, you know, he's got no experience, so on paper we've got nothing to judge him off of. But we have seen Doug Lewis. We do know that he's a hell of a wrestler.
Right.
That his fight is like 85% chance of going to the ground.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna.
And even Tim said that, you know, the way that they all train there at Fightopia is, you know, all around. You know, they're going to go to the ground. They're going to wrestle for a while. They're going to go up and stand and bang for a while, and then they've got the jits that they all do. And it's, I can't wait. There's so much to touch on, but there's so little.
We're gonna get in more detail. Like we're actually like next week when we have Brian and hopefully Brian
week
and George
before
on.
fight week.
Yeah, we got fight week podcast next week, so we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into these cards and we'll get an idea. Make sure everyone's medicals are in. We don't know if any fights are gonna get dropped off. So, but as of right now, today, June 17th. This card is 150% going to happen. There's just a few guys that need to get their medicals in still. Once those guys get them in and the fights are good, the only other fights that could drop off are the day of, guys not showing up. There's always at least 2 or 3 that don't show up or they don't make weight.
I need a per diem.
I would be surprised if all of these fights happened. But there are going to be plan for 1 or 2 or 3. Plan for 2 or 3.
I will be upset. I will be upset, and not all of you people that are on this card, if you're watching our podcast right now, I will be definitely upset if we lose James Neff, or if we lose George Pointer, or the Fred Davis fight.
But
I don't know.
But make sure, like I say, guys, make sure you
I would be pretty upset if I were to not be able to see it.
I'm gonna be upset if we lose any of these. Any of these fights, man. All of these fights are great. Great fights. Even the virtual unknowns.
I'm trying to pick, and I can't.
Even the guys who are unknown, the guys who are making their debut, the ones that we're going to be meeting for the first time on June 30th at the Chaparrals Event Center. Those guys, if those guys' fights fell through, I would be upset. I am looking forward to these guys just because of who they're fighting. You know what I'm saying? Because this is an opportunity. These guys making their debut. This is their chance on a stage.
I want to know if that's a wig.
It's not. Hell no, that's not a wig.
I mean, that is
that man's
hair.
afro right there. That is beautiful.
It just doesn't. It looks like it was added with Photoshop. It's like the only
Scott put it in.
Yeah,
put
randomly, just like, you know what, you're bald.
You know what, man? We're gonna Photoshop you
it just
an
doesn't.
afro.
It just
and
doesn't.
then they photoshopped him a headband.
Right.
And that's just what they did, right? That's what Scott did.
It just
listen, guys. Support your local fighter. Support your local promotion. Get your tickets from your fighter. If not in person, go to www.fightertix.com. Buy your ticket. Dude, I'm telling you, there's probably only going to be standing room. This event's probably going to sell out. I can't see this event like not doing well. There's going to be a ton. The crowd is going to be rowdy. We got guys coming in from PA. We got guys coming in from Michigan. We've got guys coming in all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
We've got fan favorites coming in. Oh, man, this is going to be wild. This is going to be a wild night. I cannot wait. Scott Corbin did a fantastic job matching this card, and he's already doing a great job matching the Cage Thunder one at the end of July. He's already started on the August 18th at the Nautica. He's got like 6 potential pro fights coming in. It's going to be off the chain.
Oh, my gosh.
I cannot wait, guys. Again, June 30th at the Chaparrals Event Center, located at 2418 South Arlington Road in the good old Rubber City, Akron, Ohio.
Yeah.
And until next time, guys.
Later.